Okay, this next video is all about applications of equations of lines. And the two examples we're going to look at are right here. So the first example says a 2012 Honda Civic's value over time can be approximated by the equation V equals negative 2200t plus 22,000, where t denotes the number of years after its purchase. Answer the following questions. So let's go ahead and put that into Desmos. And notice when I put it in, we don't see the graph here. And that's because of the scaling. So I am going to turn that on. And then it doesn't like T and V. So I'm going to do X and Y just so it likes that. Instead of T and V. So it should create a table. So when I create the table, then notice that right over here where my mouse is, there is a magnifying glass, and I'm going to click on that, and then it creates the appropriate scaling on my graph for me so I can see it. So that helps. So let's go back to our assignment here. So it says, what will be the value of the year 6 years, value of the car 6 years after purchase? And T is the number of years. So I'm looking for when T or X is equal to 6. So I'm going back to Desmos, and we've created a table using the gear here. So I can just go to my table and put in 6 for T, and it tells me that the value is going to be 8,800. So I am going to on my paper here, right? The value will be $8,800. The next question in our note says, what are the slope and the y-intercept, and what do they represent? Actually, the slope and the v-intercept, but let's go ahead and I'm going to share my paper so that we can write this down together here. So the slope is the value attached to t, which is usually our x. And the slope is a negative 2,200 over 1. And the slope is, remember, it's change in y over change in x. And our x is our t, our years. And our y is our value. So this tells us that for every year, because it's increasing by 1, for every year, the value is decreasing by, and I'm saying decreasing because my slope is negative, it's decreasing by $2,200. And then my y-intercept is my starting value that my car started at, which was the 22,000. So that's at 0, 22,000. And that says the car's value was $22,000 when purchased. And the last question says, what value of t will the value equal 0? So what year will my value equal 0? So I'm really looking for this value, and I can use Desmos. So we could solve for this using algebra, but I really want you to see the value of Desmos. So let's just go and look at that here. And we can put in our equation. We've got it there. So the cool thing is we can scale, zoom in or out using the plus or minus, or if you have a wheel on your mouse. And then we really want to know this, right? We want to know when the value is 0, and it looks like that's after 10 years when t is 10. So 10 years after purchase, the car's value will be 0. So let's look at the last question for applications that we're going to look at. And that is a revenue question. Let's go back to our assignment here quickly. And it's right here. It says the yearly amount of global box office revenue in billions of dollars has been rising according to the following equation, where T is the number of years since 2008. So we have to keep that in mind, years since 2008. It says, according to this equation, what will be the box office revenue for the year 2015? And what does the R-intercept represent for this problem? So again, I'm going to go to Desmos. I'm going to turn this graph off, and I'm going to type in our equation that they gave us. So instead of R, I'm going to use Y equals 1.82 X instead of T, just for graphing purposes. And again, my scaling is going to be much, much different here. Geez, I think it's easier if you just go up to the gear and make the table, and then you can click on the magnifying glass and it will automatically zoom fit for you. That's going to be better. And I'm going to just zoom out just a little bit so I can see 0, 0. Okay. So you can see that our Y-intercept is 27.46, which is about 28. So we started out at about $27.46 billion in revenue in the year 2008. That is what our intercept is. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to share my paper so that you can see that. So the R-intercept is 0 and 27.46. That's this value right here. So that's in our starting year of 2008. So in 2008, the revenue was 27.46. Make sure you have dollars on there, and that is in billions. It's important to note. And then they want to know, what is the revenue in 2015? Well, our base year that we're using is 2008. So that means T is equal to 2015 minus 2008, or 7 years later. So we're going to go to Desmos and look at when X is 7 years here. So I can put 7 right in my table and it will give me that value, which is amazing. So $40.2 billion. And then I'm going to show you my paper. So you can see, so $40.2 billion is what we're estimating the revenue to be in 2015, which is 7 years later. So catch me back for some more interesting topics.